pressing it down into the soil a little bit. This is a fairly subtle thing, but it can make a very big difference in how effective you can be in catching moles in these traps. The reason for doing this, moles have a strong instinct to dig underneath solid objects. And when this trap is in the tunnel, if these tines are up in the air at all, the mole will want to push underneath here and dig underneath here, and you won't catch him. You'll wind up getting a sprung trap or a trap that's pushed out of the way. In order to catch the mole, of course, the mole has to come through these tines and hit this trigger pan. So bedding the trap just means pushing it down into the soil. The tricky part is, of course, is you've got this in a very narrow tunnel, and to bed it into the soil when it's in the tunnel takes a little bit of doing. You can't do it just push it down in the tunnel like that. The part that's important of this is the front end of the trap. And some people make a mistake in bedding this trap, and they'll push. They want to push down on the back end of the trap. And what I want to show you here is when you do that, the front end of the trap tends to rock up in the air. It kind of seesaws it up into the air, and that's really a disaster from the point of view of catching these moles, because if the trap is in the ground like that, the mole will definitely come underneath here and he won't go through the jaws. To get the front end pressed down in the soil, the correct way to do this is to push downwards and forwards, and sort of at this angle on this handle of the spring, or on this spring catch on the back end of the trap. And if you press downwards and forwards, you'll see it kind of pushes this front part of the trap down into the ground. It kind of rocks, the whole trap kind of rocks forward, and it won't go down in the ground very far, but it's enough that this is now solidly set or bedded into the soil, and there's a much higher chance that the mole, when he comes through here, he will not perceive that to be a foreign object. He will think it's just rocks or roots or whatever, and he will come right over there and hit that pan, and increases your chance of getting the moles by a pretty big factor. So again, I'm going to show you this one more time. And I would recommend that you practice this a couple of times, just as I'm showing you here out on the ground, where you can see what effect different pressure angles have on doing this. But again, set your trap, place it on the soil, and press in this direction, downwards and forwards on the trap, and that will just that will really get these front tines bedded in a little bit. And let me see if I'll go ahead and show you this inside a mole tunnel. I don't know how you'll be able to see it inside of a tunnel, but we'll go ahead and do that here. Okay, so here we've got more of a close-up of an opened-up mole run that runs go back in that direction, and when you do this, you want to just slide this in, slide those front tines into the tunnel, and to about there, you'll have the back end of the spring winder will be projecting out of the tunnel just a little bit, and there's just enough room for you to grab onto that spring winder and push. I push it forwards and downwards at the same time, and you can't see what's going on because obviously the front end of the trap is inside the tunnel, but you can kind of feel that front of the trap bedding down into the soil a little bit, and I'm pushing it that direction. Same thing over on this other side. I'm going to set this trap real quick. Push that in, and I really do that as I slide the trap in. I'm just sliding that in and pushing in that angle right there on that spring catch, and I can feel that rocking forward and the front kind of biting down into the soil, and that's what you want right there. To finish this setup, of course, I just take a little extra dirt and just cover these over, and that's set up and ready to go. When I'm setting these on my service business, I put some flags in here, and you want to mark them some way so that you can find them again. But I just wanted to show you how to